The day I learned my brother sold our parents' house, I realized I'd been grieving the idea of family, not the reality of it. I'm Emily Carter, 33, an accountant in Austin. Numbers call me because they don't lie. At 9:12 a.m. on a Wednesday, a woman from Lone Star Bank called, cheerful and routine, confirming disbursement for 45 Maple Street once title releases funds to the accounts on the seller authorization. Emily Carter, and I didn't sell the house, I said. She hesitated, then read details that punched clean holes in my morning. Parcel number, title company, closing recorded yesterday at 3:44 p.m. Listing agent on file, Ryan Carter, my brother. I hung up politely because my mother raised me that way. Then I opened the estate folder I'd built after the funeral, probate filings, inventory. The 1989 deed with Dad's big looping signature. No listing agreement. No seller authorization bearing my hand. The key to Maple Street still lived under the ceramic frog by the porch, where we'd hidden it since childhood. I had left the house to rest while I learned how to sleep again. Apparently, it didn't wait. I drove straight to Ryan's office, a remodeled bungalow with Austin Modern Realty on a too-perfect lawn. He came out wearing his professional smile, phone still in hand. Em, what's up? Did you sell Maple Street without me? He steered me into a glassed-in office, shut the door, and produced a folder labeled Maple. Inside was a seller authorization with my name slanted across the line. My name, but not my signature. The E was wrong. The pressure on the downstroke wasn't mine. That isn't my signature, I said. Ryan's smile thinned. You've been stuck. I moved us forward. You'll get your share in 2 days. Mom wouldn't want you living in a shrine. Mom wrote what she wanted, I said. Both of us decide, together. He spread his hands like a pastor blessing bad news. Emily, be practical. You don't want that place. This frees you. He tapped the page. Handled. My job is reconciling columns until everything equals what it should. I looked from the forged curve of my name to my brother, the kid who once traded me 2 Twix for my Reese's, the man who told me at the graveside we'd do right by Mom. Somewhere between those moments, he'd learned to make his voice sound like permission. Where did you get this signature? I asked, his eyes flicked toward the window and back. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I slid the document back toward him with 2 fingers. Here's what's going to happen. I'll verify every file, every email, every recording with the bank, and the title company. If my name appears anywhere it shouldn't, we undo it. He tried the older brother voice. Don't make this ugly. I'm not making anything, I said. I'm measuring it. I walked out past the receptionist and the wall of framed closings, where Ryan grinned beside strangers holding sold signs. In the parking lot, I called the county recorder for the full packet, then Brazos and company title to request copies of IDs, notarizations, and IP logs for electronic signatures. If there was a notary stamp, I wanted the journal entry. If there was an e-sign, I wanted the metadata. Grief had made me slow. Fraud made me precise. By noon, I had 3 callbacks pending and a legal pad full of boxes to check. Bank wire instructions, the buyer's name, the listing agreement date, any power of attorney filed, the notary's commission number. I added 1 more line and underlined it twice. Mom's will. Original clause about consent. Ryan thought this was about a house. It wasn't. It was about a promise in ink and the first person who broke it. By Thursday morning, the county recorder emailed me a scanned packet labeled Closing Documents, 45 Maple Street. The first page was the deed transfer. 2 neat signatures under seller. One was Ryan's, the other was my name. Again, written by a stranger's hand. Below it sat a notary stamp from Travis County, commission number 2, 14889. My stomach nodded. Whoever notarized it either never checked IDs or didn't care. I called Ryan before I could think twice. He picked up on speaker, tone smooth as always. Em, if this is about the sale again, it's about forgery, I said flatly. You falsified my signature and submitted a fake authorization. A pause, then a short laugh. Jesus, you're dramatic. It's just paperwork. The proceeds are split 50-50. You signed my name, Ryan. I signed for you, he corrected, like the difference mattered. We're co-heirs. The estate lawyer said as long as both sellers are represented. No, he didn't. I called him. You bypassed probate and used Mom's old trust account to make it look clean. There was a beat of silence. Then the real voice came out, The one behind the realtor charm. Look, Em, he said quietly, you were never going to move back there. You cried every time you walked into that house. I handled it because you can't handle anything that isn't balanced on a spreadsheet. It landed like a slap, not because it was cruel, but because it was practiced. I'll give you 24 hours, I said, to call the title company and reverse the wire. You can't reverse a closing, he said, almost amused. It's done. I can file a criminal complaint, he chuckled, and make headlines about your own brother? Good luck. Everyone knows you're still on medication since Mom passed. You think a judge won't hear that? That one hit its mark. Ryan had been the one who drove me to the doctor for anti-anxiety meds when Mom's condition got worse. He knew exactly how to weaponize it now. I hung up before my voice could shake. For 10 minutes, I sat in my car outside my office, gripping the steering wheel until my hands went numb. Then I called the Travis County Sheriff's non-emergency line and explained. The woman on the other end sighed softly. Ma'am, that's a civil matter. Unless you can prove intent to defraud or forged IDs, it falls under property dispute. So forgery doesn't count? It counts, she said, but you'll need an attorney to press it through civil court first. In other words, no one was coming to fix this for me. That night, my phone filled with family group messages. My Aunt Linda wrote, sweetheart, I know you're upset. Ryan said you're confused about the sale. Don't drag this out. Your mother wouldn't want fighting. Confused? That's what they all called it when a woman stood her ground. Confused, emotional, overreacting. Ryan had moved fast, already calling relatives, spinning his version of helping poor Emily let go. By Friday, even our cousin Sam texted, don't sue your own blood. That's not what Mom raised you for. Funny how they always remember their version of Mom. I spent the weekend compiling documents, emails, timestamps, every text Ryan had sent about the property. At 2 a.m. Sunday, I found the old estate attorney's scanned notes on my mother's will. Both heirs must provide written, notarized consent for any sale of primary property. There it was, black and white. A single clause Ryan had pretended didn't exist. I printed it out and slipped it into a clear folder labeled Proof 1 Will Clause. My heartbeat finally steadied. For the first time since the bank call, I wasn't crying. I was planning. Because Ryan might have stolen a house, but I still had the foundation. And I was about to make him choke on it. Monday morning, I walked into Brazos and Company. Title with a tote bag full of documents and a heartbeat that felt like static. The receptionist, young bright lipstick, too polite, looked at me the way people look at someone whose story sounds impossible. Ma'am, I can't release client files without both parties' consent, she said. One of those signatures is forged, I replied. You're protecting a fraud. She hesitated, then offered a weak smile. I'll have our manager call you. That call never came. By noon, I'd emailed the notary whose stamp appeared on the deed, commission hash 214889. The reply arrived an hour later. Dear Miss Carter, I don't recall that specific signing, but everything appeared proper at the time. I verified ID provided by both parties. Attached was a copy of the ID used for me, my driver's license, but the photo was 10 years old, and the signature didn't match. Someone had printed a fake copy from my old HR file. Ryan had access. When I forwarded the evidence to the sheriff's office, the same woman replied, Miss Carter, this still qualifies as a civil dispute. You'll need to pursue it in probate court. It was like yelling into a vacuum. That night, I posted nothing online, said nothing to friends, but the silence filled up fast. Family whispers, missed calls, voicemails laced with guilt. Aunt Linda again. I know Ryan messed up, but it's still family. Don't ruin your life with a lawsuit. Ruin my life? He'd already done that. At work, I tried to focus on invoices, but gossip spread faster than numbers. Someone had heard from a friend of a realtor that I'd gone off the rails over my mother's house. My manager pulled me aside kindly. Take some time off, Em. Grief does weird things. Grief. Again, that word. Convenient, tidy, and wrong. This wasn't grief. It was theft. So I took the leave she offered, but not to rest. I drove to the old neighborhood, parked across from 45 Maple, and sat for nearly an hour. The house looked smaller, stripped of everything personal. The porch light was gone, and a sold banner sagged against the railing. A moving truck idled in the driveway. I saw Ryan's SUV parked across the street. He stood with a couple, the new owners, laughing, gesturing at the maple tree Dad planted when I was 5. His confidence made my stomach turn. When they drove away, I got out, crossed the street, and touched the trunk of that old tree. Beneath the roots, there was still the buried tin box where Mom made us hide. Family treasures. Inside had been 2 paper dolls, Dad's old cufflink, and a key. The key. I didn't dig. It wasn't the object I needed. It was the memory. That key represented trust, and Ryan had sold it with the house. I drove home and drafted 3 new emails, one to a probate attorney, one to the real estate licensing board, and one to my mother's old friend, Mr. Caldwell, a retired estate lawyer who'd helped Mom years ago. Subject line, urgent. Possible forgery of will-related property sale. I hit send, then leaned back and whispered to myself, if no one will believe me, I'll make them. The next morning, Mr. Caldwell called. His voice was gravel and certainty. Emily, I kept a copy of your mother's original will in my archives. The one with both your names on the consent clause. You'd better come by. That was the first real breath I'd taken in a week. If you're listening on Revenge Stories Women 25, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you. By the time I ended the call, my anger had settled into something sharper. Resolve. Ryan might have every advantage, money, connections, a perfect smile, but I had the one thing he couldn't fake anymore. Truth on paper. And I was done being quiet. Mr. Caldwell's office sat above an old bookstore downtown, the kind of place that still smelled like dust and coffee. When I arrived, he had the file already open on his desk. Yellowed pages, Mom's looping handwriting, notarized with a seal from 2017. He pushed the document toward me. Clause 12, he said. Both children must provide written, notarized consent for any sale of the primary residence. Your brother was present when your mother signed this. The ink on her signature had faded slightly, but her intent never had. I felt a rush of anger and relief in the same breath. This is the original, he nodded. I made 2 copies when she updated it after your father passed. She asked me to hold one here for safekeeping. My throat tightened. Mom always planned ahead, even for the betrayals she couldn't name. I scanned the will, signed a receipt for the duplicate, and walked out with the folder hugged to my chest like a weapon finally found. That night, I sat at my kitchen table staring at Ryan's Facebook profile. He'd posted a smiling photo that morning, him shaking hands with the new buyers, captioned, "Bittersweet closing today. A family home finds a new beginning." Dozens of likes, a chorus of heart emojis, and comments from relatives congratulating him on moving forward. I didn't comment immediately. I waited until the evening crowd came online, when the algorithm could make the truth sting wider. Then I wrote one sentence. Funny post, since the seller's daughter never signed the papers. 10 minutes later, my notifications blew up. Cousins messaged me privately. One aunt called to say I was airing dirty laundry. Another accused me of being stuck in grief. But amid the noise, one message stood out. From Laura Jensen, an old colleague of Mom's who now worked at Ryan's firm. Emily, I saw your comment. You should know Ryan closed that deal under his own license, not through his broker. It's not allowed. Also, I think you deserve to know what else he's hiding. She attached a screenshot of an internal chat from the firm's Slack channel. Got Maple Street under my own contract. Easy split. Sister won't notice. Still too emotional to check probate files. The words made my jaw clench. I could practically hear his tone, that casual cruelty dressed up as competence. Laura ended her message with, "If you ever need a witness for how this went down, I'm in." For the first time, I wasn't alone. I printed everything. The will copy, Laura's screenshot, my bank correspondence, and stacked it neatly. Evidence #1 and witness #1. By morning, the story had spread across our extended family's Facebook group. My aunt texted again, "Emily, delete that post before it ruins your brother's career." I replied simply, "He ruined it himself. I'm just done covering for him." Then I turned my phone face down and opened my laptop. Through a local housing forum, I found the buyers' names from public records. James and Olivia Parker. A young couple, new baby, moving in from Dallas. I drafted a short, polite email. "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Parker, this may sound strange, but I'm the co-heir of 45 Maple Street, which you recently purchased. There's an ongoing legal issue regarding the legitimacy of that sale. Please do not release further funds until you hear from my attorney. I hit send, half expecting it to bounce back. An hour later, Olivia replied, "We had no idea. Ryan told us his sister was abroad. We'll pause all payments and cooperate however we can." I sat back, exhaling slowly. The dominoes had started to fall. That evening, Ryan called. No greeting. Just anger sharpened to glass. "Are you out of your mind? You just scared my clients? You think humiliating me online helps you? You forged my name, Ryan. You don't understand how business works?" "No," I cut in. "You don't understand how family works. Mom trusted you. I trusted you." He went quiet for a beat, then said through his teeth, "Take that post down or I'll make you regret it." I almost laughed. Too late. Regret's old news. I hung up before he could answer. That night, I saved every threatening voicemail, every text, every scrap of proof. And when exhaustion finally hit, I whispered to the empty room, "You picked the wrong sister." If you're listening on Revenge Stories Women 25, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you. 2 days later, the phone rang again, this time from the Texas Real Estate Commission. "Miss Carter, we received a complaint regarding Agent Ryan Carter's conduct. Would you be available to provide documentation?" I looked at the thick folder on my table. "I already have it ready," I said. Ryan wanted to make me look crazy. Instead, I'd made him visible. And soon, everyone else would see exactly what kind of man he'd become. 2 days after filing the complaint, I came home to an email from my bank marked urgent. Account activity notice. When I logged in, my checking and savings accounts both displayed the same cold message. Account temporarily frozen pending verification of ownership authorization. I called the hotline immediately. After 20 minutes on hold, a representative explained, "A formal inquiry was filed claiming potential misuse of estate funds. The claimant listed is Ryan Carter." I gripped the edge of my desk until my knuckles went white. "He filed against me?" "Yes, ma'am," she said carefully. "He provided documentation showing an ongoing dispute regarding a property sale. Until that's resolved, we're required to place a temporary hold." I laughed once. Short, bitter. Ryan had always known how to turn a knife into a lever. That evening, I drove to his office, no appointment this time. The receptionist tried to stop me, but I walked straight past. Ryan looked up from his desk, startled. "Em, what the hell are you doing here? You froze my accounts." He leaned back, all false calm. "Just protecting assets while things settle. Don't act like a victim. You started this." "I exposed what you did." He sighed dramatically. "You posted about me. You emailed my clients. That's defamation, Emily. I could sue you for that." I stepped closer, lowered my voice. "Go ahead, you'll have to testify under oath. Show the fake notary, the altered ID, the bank logs. You sure you want that?" His eyes flickered, just a second, but enough. "You're making this worse for yourself." "No, Ryan," I said, voice steady. "I'm making it right." When I left, I was shaking, not from fear, but from the kind of fury that feels electric. I sat in my car for a long minute, then texted Laura. "Need those internal chat records. Can you forward everything that mentions Maple Street?" She replied instantly, "Already compiling them. Also, word in the office is your brother's license is under review. His broker isn't happy." Finally, the system was starting to bend his way back on him. The next morning, I met with my attorney, Marianne Flores, a probate specialist with eyes like polished steel. After reading through the will clause, she leaned back in her chair. "You've got a solid case," she said. "Forgery, unauthorized sale, breach of fiduciary duty. But it's going to take months, maybe a year. You ready for that?" "I've been ready since the day he stole her house." Marianne smiled faintly. "Then we start by filing an emergency injunction to freeze the sale funds, before Ryan can move them offshore." By noon, she'd drafted the paperwork. I signed every page without hesitation. That night, I delivered the packet to the courthouse myself. 2 days later, the Parkers, the buyers, called me again. Olivia's voice trembled. "Emily, we just got a letter from Ryan's lawyer threatening to sue us for breach of contract if we don't complete the payment." "Don't worry," I said. "My attorney already filed an injunction. You won't owe him a dime. He told us you forged documents and were trying to blackmail him." "Then I'll see him explain that in court," I said softly. I hung up, set my phone down, and looked at the folder on my table. Proof hash 1, will clause, and proof hash 2, internal chat records from Laura. Ryan was unraveling, fast. When people like him start to lose control, they double down. Sure enough, the next morning my phone buzzed with a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. His voice came through shaky and mean. You think you're smart? You'll regret this, Em. That house isn't worth destroying our family. Our family. He said it like a threat, not a bond. I forwarded the message to Marianne. Evidence of intimidation, she replied. Good. Keep everything. That weekend, the real storm hit. I received an official letter from the Travis County clerk. Ryan had filed a petition to remove me as co-executor of Mom's estate, citing mental instability and erratic behavior. He was trying to make me legally invisible. Marianne wasn't surprised. Classic tactic, don't panic. We'll counter with your documented proof and character witnesses. This might actually help us. Shows intent to discredit. Still, reading that petition broke something old and soft inside me. The boy who used to braid my hair on picture day had turned me into an obstacle to eliminate. That night, I opened Mom's photo album, the one with her handwriting labeling every page. Under Christmas 2008, she'd written, Ryan sold the tree too early again. Emily saved the lights. Even then, she'd known who we both were. I closed the album and exhaled slowly. This wasn't about saving the house anymore. It was about saving the part of me that still believed family meant protection. Monday morning, Marianne called with news that nearly made me cry. Judge granted the injunction, she said. All sale proceeds are frozen pending investigation. So he can't touch a cent? Not legally. For the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Ryan had tried to starve me, silence me, erase me. Instead, he'd just trapped himself in a cage built from his own paperwork. A week later, the courthouse smelled like old wood polish and rain. Ryan arrived with his lawyer, a sharp man in a navy suit and a voice too calm to be honest. I sat beside Marianne. A folder on my lap labeled Evidence, Carter v. Carter. The hearing was supposed to be procedural, just to confirm the injunction, but the judge decided to review our submissions early. Ryan still wore confidence like cologne. When our eyes met, he gave a small smile that said, You're overplaying your hand, Em. Judge Langston adjusted her glasses. Mr. Carter, you claim your sister consented to the property sale. You've provided a notarized authorization. Miss Carter disputes its authenticity. I'd like to hear from both of you. Ryan stood first, charming and rehearsed. Your Honor, my sister has been struggling since our mother passed. I tried to manage the estate responsibly. She was emotionally incapable of handling details, so I facilitated the process. The word facilitated hung in the air like smoke. Marianne stood next. Your Honor, facilitation doesn't include forging legal documents. We have two key exhibits. First, a certified copy of the mother's original will, Clause 12, requiring joint notarized consent from both heirs. Second, internal correspondence from Mr. Carter's firm, where he admits to closing the sale alone. Ryan's jaw tightened. Marianne handed up the exhibits. The clerk stamped them. The judge skimmed the pages, then looked up. Mr. Carter, did you write, got Maple Street under my own contract? Sister won't notice. Still too emotional to check probate files? His attorney shifted. Objection? Relevance? Overruled, Judge Langston said evenly. Answer the question? Ryan's voice cracked just enough. That message was informal, taken out of context. So you deny that you knowingly violated the will's clause? I did what I believed was best for both of us. Marianne cut in, crisp. Including submitting a falsified signature to the title company? He didn't answer. Silence filled the room, like a verdict already forming. Then Marianne opened her laptop and played the audio file I'd been waiting to reveal. The voicemail Ryan left after the injunction, his voice low and threatening. You'll regret this, Em. That house isn't worth destroying our family. Judge Langston's expression didn't change, but the air did. You could feel it. How the balance shifted. Marianne continued. Your Honor, intimidation following the exposure of fraud establishes intent to conceal wrongdoing. The judge nodded slowly, tapping her pen. Mr. Carter, I'm issuing an immediate order for a full forensic review of all sale documents and notary records. The property will remain frozen under probate. Furthermore, you are barred from representing or handling any estate assets pending investigation. Ryan's lawyer whispered something frantic, but Ryan wasn't listening. His face had drained of color. Outside the courtroom, reporters from the local housing beat were already waiting. Laura must have tipped them off. Flashbulbs clicked as we stepped out. I didn't speak. Marianne handled the press, calm and factual. This is a standard injunction in a family estate matter. We trust the process. Ryan tried to push through the crowd, muttering, "You did this to me." I turned, met his eyes. "No, Ryan, you did this to yourself. I just stopped cleaning up after you." That night, I got home to find an envelope shoved under my apartment door. Inside was a single page. Ryan's handwriting, messy, desperate. "You've humiliated me. Mom would be disgusted with you." I almost threw it away, but then I saw the second sentence. "I'm not done fighting." I took a photo of the note, forwarded it to Marianne, and dropped the paper in a Ziploc bag. Proof #3. The next morning, the Austin Tribune ran a short piece. Local realtor investigated for estate fraud allegations. It wasn't sensational, but it was enough. His firm suspended him pending review. Calls from his clients poured in demanding answers. By the end of the week, Ryan finally called. This time, his voice was smaller. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," he said. "You're my sister." "You stopped being that when you turned me into paperwork," I replied. "If I fix it, if I transfer the house back, can we make it go away?" "You can't fix something by pretending it didn't break," I said. "I don't want the house anymore, Ryan. I just want accountability." He exhaled like someone realizing the oxygen's gone. "You're really going to ruin me?" "No," I said quietly. "You did that with your own signature." 2 weeks later, the forensic report came in. The notary admitted Ryan had provided the IDs and assured her his sister couldn't attend. The digital logs showed the e-signature came from his office computer. It was over. At the next hearing, Judge Langston's voice was firm. "The deed transfer is hereby void. Ownership reverts to both heirs under the mother's will. Mr. Ryan Carter's actions constitute fraudulent misrepresentation. The court refers this matter to the district attorney for review." Ryan's shoulders sagged. The gavel struck once. Marianne turned to me and whispered, "Congratulations. That's the turning point." But it didn't feel like victory, just release. When we walked outside, rain started again, soft and cleansing. I tilted my face to it. Ryan stood under the courthouse awning, drenched, staring at me as if waiting for me to say something merciful. I didn't. All I said was, "Now it's finally fair." And I walked away, leaving him there with nothing but his reflection in a puddle, blurred, hollow, and exactly as temporary as his lies. 3 weeks later, the court's written decision arrived by mail. Black ink on white paper. No emotion, just justice. The deed was void, funds frozen, and Ryan's real estate license suspended pending disciplinary review. Marianne smiled when she handed me a copy. "You're officially done, Emily." But endings don't happen on paper. They happen in quiet mornings when no one's watching. Ryan texted that night, "I know I messed up. Please, let's talk before the DA takes this further." I stared at the screen for a long time. Forgiveness used to come easy to me. Mom raised us to fix things before bed. But some nights stretch years long, and fixing them just means reopening wounds that never healed right. Still, I met him. A diner near the edge of town, the kind we'd gone to after school as kids. He looked smaller somehow, suit gone, hair unkempt, the kind of man who had finally run out of explanations. He tried first. I thought I could handle everything." "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You meant to help yourself?" I said softly. "That's different." He nodded, eyes down. "The commission's gone. The firm dropped me. I might even lose the house I bought." I stirred my coffee, watching the cream swirl. "Actions have math, Ryan. You added greed and subtracted trust. That always leaves you with nothing." He flinched. "Do you hate me?" I took a breath. "No, hate's still a kind of attachment. I'm just done keeping score." He wiped his face, ashamed, and whispered, "I wish Mom could see us now." "She does," I said, "and I think she's proud that I finally learned how to stand up to you." For a long moment, neither of us spoke. When the waitress refilled our cups, I left a 20 on the table and stood. I forgive you, I said, but I'll never trust you again. That's the cost. He didn't stop me when I walked out. A week later, the sale funds were officially reallocated by the court. Half returned to me, half held under review for restitution fees. I asked Marianne to transfer my portion directly to the Grace Foundation, a charity for hospice caregivers, Mom's favorite cause. When the confirmation email came, I felt something unclench inside me. The money didn't matter. What mattered was closing the loop, making sure her name ended on something good, not a legal file. I looked at the final line of the court order and whispered, "It's done, Mom." And for the first time in months, I actually believed it. Spring came early that year. The first morning I opened my apartment windows, the air smelled like rain and new starts. For the first time in a long while, I didn't wake to anxiety. Just quiet. I'd kept my job through it all, thanks to Denise, who welcomed me back with a hug and a simple, "You didn't just balance the books, you balanced yourself." It made me laugh, but she was right. On weekends, I started volunteering at the Grace Foundation, helping organize donations for families caring for terminally ill parents. Folding linens, labeling boxes, serving coffee to tired caregivers. It was the kind of quiet service Mom used to love. Sometimes people asked if I'd ever move back into 45 Maple, now that the house legally belonged to me again. I always said no. Some doors aren't meant to reopen. They're meant to stand as proof that you walked through and made it out alive. One Saturday, as I was leaving the center, Laura Jensen waited outside with 2 cups of coffee. She smiled. "You look lighter." "Because I am," I said. "Truth weighs less than secrets." She nodded, handing me 1 cup. "Ryan ever reach out again?" "Just once," I replied. "He started therapy, said he's staying with a friend for a while. I wished him well. That's enough." We sat on the steps in the soft afternoon light, talking about small things, gardens, work, new projects. Life was moving forward, but this time at my pace. Later that evening, I returned home, opened the curtains, and looked out over the city. The same skyline that once felt too big now felt like possibility. I poured myself a glass of wine and opened the small wooden box I'd brought from Maple Street. Inside was the key Mom used to keep under the ceramic frog. It wasn't about the house anymore. It was about the lesson that key carried. That trust is sacred, and once broken, you don't rebuild it by pretending it never cracked. You start new, somewhere honest. I placed the key back in the box, smiled, and whispered, "I'm okay, Mom." Then I turned off my phone, lit a candle, and finally let silence feel like peace instead of punishment. Because forgiveness isn't weakness, it's closure. And survival isn't revenge. It's choosing yourself again and again until you remember who you were before someone tried to write over your name. I choose me. Tell me what you do. Drop your story and subscribe. Revenge Stories, Women 25.